wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Piledriver Weekly. My name is Electric Eric Davidson, and this is my co-host, Mr. Ace Larson. We got a big show for you this week, got a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it with OVW. OVW this week, emanating as always from the Davis Arena. First, we get highlights from the Saturday night special that we were at. We covered that last week on the show. Then we go right into a match. We get Paradise versus Rudy Switchblade. A pretty good match here. Rudy wins via submission. Then we see Dylan Bostic, the television champion, in the back. And Randy Royal comes up saying he's going to get the title back. Then another match, we get VIP Joe Rosa against a OVW newcomer, Yaden Matthews. Now, Matthews has been around for a while. He's not new to wrestling. I think he's been wrestling for probably a good solid 10 years, but he's been wrestling in other states. Pretty impressive in his debut, but Joe Rosa gets the best of him, gets the pin. Then we see another spot for the body guy. Why exactly they're trying to hype this guy, I'm not real sure. But then Shiloh Jones, Raul Amata, and Joe Coleman of the Coalition come out to the ring. Kind of interesting here. Shiloh gets on the mic and talks about the Coalition getting arrested, apparently from when they stole Michael Hayes' Purple Heart from his house. They were incarcerated, at least in storyline. And he says the three guys standing in the ring were the reason for the Coalition's success. And when they joined the Coalition, Wayne and Crimson had promised them power and championships and all kinds of things. And apparently they're booting Crimson and Wayne out of the group here. And Jones is going to be the new leader, it looks like. And they introduced the newest member, Flash Flanagan. Remember, he came out at the Saturday Night Special with the kendo stick. And they are now calling themselves the Marauders. So I guess the Coalition's dead and buried. A new group is born from the ashes of the Coalition, with a new leader in Shiloh Jones. Interested to see where they go with that. Then the OVW heavyweight champion, Jamin Olivencia, is seen arriving to the building. And then we see Jay Bradley in the back making fun of Jamin. I'm really starting to like this Jay Bradley guy. He's really growing on me a lot. Then we get the TV title match, Dylan Bostic defending against Tony Gunn. Before the match can even start, though, Randy Royal comes out and attacks Gunn. And then out comes some scrubs, like the Baxter brothers and the Marksmen and some officials. They try to break it up. The match finally does get underway, and actually a decent match going. Then out comes Randy Royal again to bust things up, attacks Gunn, causing the DQ this time. And he ends up slamming Gunn into the steel steps like 3 times. Then we get a match, Jesse Goddard, who's been on the losing streak. He came out and said he was going to take on a former OVW champion, and he calls out Elvis Pridemore. Now, technically, yes, Elvis Pridemore was a former one-time OVW champion. I was actually there when he won the title, and but it was one of those fluke things. He won the title from Cliff Compton, and Cliff was feuding. I can't remember who it was with now. God, like I said, I was at that match, but somebody came out and nailed Cliff with some brass knuckles before the match even started. Elvis Pridemore pinned him and won the belt. But then the very next week, Elvis came out and said he didn't want to be champion that way and handed the belt over. So technically, yes, he is a former champion, but Anyhow, Goddard's, dominates for most of the match, but then he's outside the ring and he's too busy talking smack to Dean Hill and doesn't notice that he's being counted out. So he gets counted out, and Pridemore wins by count out. So the losing streak continues for Jesse Goddard's. Then we get Taylor backstage, and she approaches some new girl I don't recall ever seeing before. I don't know who it was, but she was standing there insulting Twiggy. Hadn't seen Twiggy in a while. But whoever this girl is, she kind of hits it off with Taylor, and they decide to go get themselves some Cosmos. And then they happen to walk by Jamin Olivencia, who's laid out on the floor. So next up, we're supposed to have the Jamin Olivencia, Jay Bradley contract signing for the title match at the next Saturday Night Special. Bradley comes out, gets on the mic, and says Jamin won't be able to make it, and says he let his feistiness get him in trouble. Said they were discussing the contract, and Jamin just simply passed out. He calls him like a couple different names here. Like one of them, he called him like Nacho Olivares or something. It was kind of funny, really. But then he says Jamin has already signed the contract and he's going to go ahead and sign it. After he signs it, Jamin comes out and attacks him and gets a little revenge on him. But that's OVW for this week. And don't forget, every week they do their TV tapings at the Davis Arena, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. Doors open about 6:30, bell time about 7:30, I believe. Only like $5 to get in, cheap night out. It's a good time. If you can't make it out to the matches, catch them on the Ion Network, WBN 21 Saturdays at noon, or they replay that again Wednesdays at 9, I believe. Or if you don't have the Ion Network, you can always catch their episodes online at ovwrestling.com. But that does it for OVW this week, and now we're going to move on to Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor from Baltimore, Maryland. Show opens up with QT Marshall, along with his flunky R.D. Evans there coming out to the ring with him, versus Tommaso Ciampa. A decent match here. Prince Nana. I haven't seen Prince Nana in quite some time. And if you recall, he kind of...
he's one of the originals, wasn't he? Or close to it.
He's been around for a long time, and R.D. Evans kind of stole Prince Nana's faction, the Embassy, out from under him. So he has a vested interest here. He just kind of stands at the top of the ramp and watches the match, though. Then Ciampa wins by pinfall there. Then we get a newcomer to Ring of Honor, Nick Merriman. Apparently he has a pretty respected amateur background. But anyhow, Nick Merriman, newcomer to Ring of Honor, taking on the prodigy Mike Bennett, along with Maria and Brutal Bob Evans. Yeah, she looked good as always. And surprisingly, you don't see a lot of these in Ring of Honor, but it was a quick squash match. Bennett just beats him in probably under a minute, really. It didn't last very long at all. Then after the match, Bennett gets on the mic, and he's kind of saying, should I stay or should I go, alluding to the fact that he recently was kind of getting a look from WWE, I believe. At least that was the word going around. But he says he has a contract in his hand to stay in Ring of Honor for a very long time. It's a lucrative deal, so they're going to be seeing him for a long time to come. He, of course, insults the fans. The fans boo him, but he's like, you Ring of Honor fans, you'll boo a guy like me, but you'll cheer for a guy like Cheeseburger. And so Cheeseburger's, at ringside, and
good old Cheeseburger.
Yeah, actually offers Cheeseburger the contract, and of course then as Cheeseburger is taking the contract, he super kicks him in the face and starts to beat the hell out of poor Cheeseburger. And Brutal Bob, pulls Bennett off of Cheeseburger. And that obviously didn't sit very well with Bennett, who they've been kind of clashing a little bit lately anyway. And now things finally came to a head. Bennett slams Brutal Bob and then gets on the mic and says, "I'm no longer your prodigy. The prodigy is dead." So, looks like Mike Bennett going in an interesting new direction here. And, him and Maria leave together. Then out comes Jay Briscoe. Now, keep in mind, if you've been, reading what's going on with Ring of Honor and the title situation online, these episodes are running a little bit behind, but Jay Briscoe comes out and says he did injure his shoulder at Best in the World, but if Hardy thinks he's forfeiting the title, he's got another thing coming. He's going to be defending the title against Hardy next week, apparently. But that's about it, and he leaves. Then the main event of the night was a tag team title match. CNC Wrestling Factory, Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander taking on Red Dragon, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. And I tell you, man, they held on to those belts for quite some time now.
How long has it been? 4 months?
Oh, at least.
They won them at the 11th anniversary show.
I was thinking they already had them by then.
Didn't they beat the Wolves for them?
No.
Or the Briscoes? One of those two teams? Maybe I'm wrong. At least 4 months.
I was thinking they took them off of the guys from Scum.
Okay. That'd been a long time ago.
Or did the Briscoes take them off Scum then?
Yeah, because it was the Briscoes that dropped them at 11th anniversary show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they've had the belts for quite some time
because
now.
Jay had that match with Steen a month after in April at Supercard. So that's what it was.
Really nice match here. All four of these guys can go. The American Wolves are watching from the top of the ramp, and they get into a verbal altercation with Steve Corino, who's on commentary. Then, of course, out come the guys from Scum, and they get into it with the Wolves. Then out come Adrenaline Rush, ACH and TD Darius Thomas, and they join the party. Then out comes security, and all this melee is going on outside the ring while the title match is still going on. And a valiant effort here by CNC. They looked really good, but once again the titles elude them, and Red Dragon wins by pinfall. And for those of you in the area, if you've never seen a Ring of Honor show, you have a chance coming up soon. Ring of Honor is returning to Cincinnati on Saturday, November 2nd. We're going to be there. I think you should be too. If you're a true wrestling fan and you've never seen a Ring of Honor show, I would highly recommend it. Nothing like Ring of Honor live, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Tickets go on sale this Friday, I believe, at 10 a.m. for the general public. But that's Ring of Honor for this week. And next, we are going to move on to SmackDown. All right, SmackDown. I'm going to try to keep it somewhat brief this week because
we've got better stuff to cover.
Yeah, and we want to cover the pay-per-view and everything. So I'm going to kind of speed through SmackDown here, but not a whole lot to cover anyway. For once, though, I got to say SmackDown actually opened up going straight into a match. Imagine that, a wrestling show opening up with a wrestling match instead of 20 minutes of
jibber jabber.
But they make up for it on Raw. And it's a good match. Daniel Bryan versus Christian. Real good match here. Bryan wins with the yes lock. and it is the Yes Lock again now. It's
His eighth name.
Then we see Teddy in the back, and he tells Dolph to take the night off. He doesn't want interference in the Del Rio match tonight. Del Rio taking on Sin Cara. Then Jey Uso in a singles match taking on Seth Rollins. Rollins gets the pin here. Then we get a recap of Vicky Guerrero getting canned last week. And then we get another decent match, Jericho versus Curtis Axel. Non-title affair here. And Jericho wins it by countout, so that's 2 weeks in a row now, or actually twice in 1 week. Jericho's gone over on the Intercontinental Champion. Then we get Miz versus Ryback. Nothing really to write home about here. Ryback gets the win with the shell shock after playing a little bit of possum with the knee, I think, there. Then we see Renee Young in the back talking with Sheamus. And then we get the Caitlyn AJ contract signing.
Boo.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn ends up slapping the piss out of Big E Langston and then spears AJ. But that's that. Then we get Fandango versus Wade Barrett. Zeb Coulter on commentary with Swagger and Cesaro standing by. The Scholars come out and confront Cesaro Swagger, and this somehow is distracting to Wade Barrett. And Fandango rolls him up for the pin.
Barrett's, lost 100 straight now?
Yeah. Then we get a recap of the Wyatt family debut. Then we get to Del Rio versus Sin Cara, but it's obviously not Sin Cara in the suit. It's Ziggler. He even does the zigzag. But the match just kind of got thrown out. Then after the match, Vicky appears out of nowhere. She's ringside somehow, and she's on the mic bitching about getting fired and wanting Teddy to get fired too. Then Teddy comes out and has security escort her out of the building. Then we see the real Sin Cara backstage, and Teddy, sees him and thinks it's still Ziggler, which how, I don't know, because Ziggler's about a foot taller than Sin Cara. But he walks up to Sin Cara and thinks it's Ziggler, and he's like, what was that? I told you to take the night off. And Sin Cara's like, shaking his head like, I don't speak English, I don't know what you're talking about.
Garbage.
And then Dolph Ziggler comes up behind him in his, street clothes. I'm like, I just came back to get my phone. I forgot my phone,
God.
Then the main event of the evening, Sheamus versus Randy Orton. Your standard Orton match going on here. Then out comes Daniel Bryan, hits them both with the ladder, then climbs it, reaching for the briefcase. Sheamus knocks him down. Then out comes Christian, knocks Sheamus down, climbs the ladder, but then Bryan pushes it over, and then Bryan gets taken out with an RKO. Orton climbs the ladder, gets the briefcase.
Could this be a sign of things to come?
Gee, I wonder. Anyhow, that's your crappy episode of SmackDown for the week. And next, we're going to move on to Impact.
All right, here we go with TNA Impact live from Las Vegas, Nevada. We start out with Bully Ray backstage talking about Brooke getting engaged. Then we got Aces and Eights in the house, and Bully's talking about taking care of business. And he's warning Chris Sabin not to cash in the X Division title. And he says a new vice president of Aces and Eights will be announced tonight. So that sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting. Then we got the main event Mafia, and then Kurt Angle doing a promo for Destination X. They give Louisville, Kentucky, where it's going to be here in a couple of days. We'll be there live, a plug. And then Sting announces that there's going to be the fifth member of main event Mafia revealed tonight. So,
and he's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, he's a heavy hitter. So anxious to see who that is. So the first match of the night, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're having tag team matches, and the tag team that wins, those two guys are going to be in the 6-man gauntlet match later for the 25 points.
They're going to have basically 3 what they call Joker's Wild tag team matches amongst the guys that are in the Bound for Glory series. So you don't know who your partner is going to be. They're going to have 3 of these matches, and the 6 guys who win these 3 matches, the 3 teams that win these matches are going to go on to a gauntlet match where they're all against each other. It's,
over the top,
every man for himself, over the top elimination.
And the winner gets 25
points. Well, until it's down to the final 2, then it goes to pin or submission.
Okay, that's right.
And the winner gets 25 points in the Bound for Glory series.
Gotcha.
A little bit confusing, but kind of interesting, and at least they're doing something different.
Yeah. So the first team is Jeff Hardy and Joseph Park versus AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Pretty quick match here. Joe gets the rear naked choke, a submission for the win.
Yeah, makes Park tap.
And that's it with that. Then the second, pulling double duty, Jay Bradley teams up with Hernandez versus Mr. Anderson and Magnus. And Mr. Anderson just won't be tagged in.
Yeah,
He'll stick his hand out to tease to Magnus, and he just pulls it right back.
He makes Magnus wrestle the match. It's basically a handicap match. Magnus against the other 2 guys. But Magnus comes out on top here.
Yeah.
But even though Anderson didn't do anything, he gets to move on to the gauntlet match.
So Anderson and Magnus move on. The next we have Austin Aries backstage with Bobby Roode, and the bad influence interrupts. That was kind of a funny exchange.
A little bit of comic relief.
Yeah. Then the third match, oddly enough, how coincidental, it's Daniels teaming up with Aries against Kazarian and Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Which, at first, Daniels and Kazarian act like they're not going to lock up with each other.
Yeah.
But Roode and Aries actually do lock up with each other.
Yeah.
This turns out to be a very, very good match, really.
Yeah, it was a good match and interesting. But Roode and Aries will be the first to say, hey, we're not best friends. Yeah. We're tag team partners. We're winners. But they've always been the first to proclaim we're not necessarily best friends here. But yeah, I thought it was a good match, and
Kazarian rolls up Christopher Daniels.
Pins his own partner.
Kazarian to get the win here to move on. But I thought, side note, funny real quick, Taz in commentary actually botched the word telepathy twice. Could not say it correctly. I thought that was rather
Taz could botch the word
So next we have Aces and Eights backstage, and then Brooke and Hulk are talking about Bully backstage. Then we have the big decision of who the new vice president for Aces and Eights is. And it comes down to a vote. They just go around the table pretty much of who you vote for. And it came down to, who was it, Nux?
Yeah, Nux had the final vote. It was kind of up to him. And
Anderson gets the vote.
Yeah, and Doc was kind of pissed at Nux about that because, him and Nux, I think, were kind of supposed to be buddies. But
So Mr. Anderson by 4-3 win is the new vice president of Aces and Eights. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I mean,
you kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to end up getting the spot. And
do you think he'll turn on Bully Ray eventually?
Want to be the leader himself?
Yeah,
a good possibility.
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, the group has to fall apart somehow, some way, or maybe Doc will be pissed off enough to kind of splinter off with the guys that voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of end up with a NWO Black and White versus Wolfpack kind of situation. Who knows? We'll see.
I must say, though, the more I watch Bully Ray, he's really starting to grow on me a little bit more and a little bit more as a singles champion. I mean, but we'll see.
And you can't deny the fact that he plays the hill great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he can draw, just monster heat.
Yeah.
Can't deny that.
So next we got Terrence Terrell versus Gail Kim in a knockouts #1 contender ladder match. Mickey James at ringside. Terrence Terrell is looking beautiful as always. And what actually a pretty solid ladder match from these two.
And not just a solid ladder match, but would you agree with me that I think these two would at least have to be candidates for Feud of the Year?
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. Slammiversary, now this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily win it, But I think they would have to be candidates.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But, that's just our opinion.
I mean, they've had an excellent feud.
Mm-hmm. It's better than any garbage women's match that
And
WWE does.
it was a slow build, and they've stuck with it. It wasn't just thrown together on an episode of SmackDown because they were talking crap to each other, and Teddy came out and put them against each other. There's a reason that they're fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes all the way back to when Taryn was still the Knockouts referee.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason she's a wrestler now is because of Gail Kim.
Right. And Mickie James is a believable women's champion, and you can believe it. You can believe that these two women hate each other. You can believe that they're not just going through the motions.
Right.
And what was cool is Gail Kim ties up Taryn Terrell's hair in the ropes.
Yeah, it was one of the most creative ways I've ever seen of winning a ladder match. She tied her hair to the ropes so she couldn't get up, and ran up and grabbed the contract real quick there. Yeah,
I was rather entertained by this match.
Yeah, they put on a hell of a match at Slammiversary.
Yeah,
I mean, excellent match.
So next we have the 6-man gauntlet match with Styles, Magnus, Kazarian, Joe, Anderson, and Rude. Kazarian is eliminated first. Oh, and I must say, Bobby Roode's the shit. He is the man. He's got the baddest entrance music, the baddest entrance, the baddest in-ring work. He's just bad. He's a bad man, as Stephen A. on ESPN would say. Bad man.
Yes.
So Anderson then eliminates Styles. A lot of quick eliminations going on. Anderson and Joe eliminated simultaneously, and it comes down to Bobby Roode and Magnus. And, man, what a row Magnus has been on. Beats Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
The 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they're, like I said, and I said this before he joined Main Event Mafia, they seem like they're going to push Magnus to the moon here. And
he's looking good.
He really is. He's got something about him there, and Magnus wins, gets 25 points. He's in the lead by a pretty decent margin in the Bound for Glory series.
Yeah, so he gets 25 points there. Next we have the big decision of whether Chris Sabin's going to turn in his X Division title for a shot at the world or the TNA heavyweight title. Hogan just cannot stop plugging himself, can he? But at least he plugged Louisville, Kentucky.
He plugged and he plugged Sabin.
Yeah,
he put Sabin over.
Yeah. But Sabin starts talking about the damn injury.
I know it's like, come on, man, let it go. We get it.
So you think Sabin's going to cash in, but of course the Aces and Eights interrupt.
Right.
Bully Ray's talking about Brooke, unfinished business. Sabin tells Bully to shut the hell up. And
gives him a little history lesson.
Sabin reminds him that he was the one that pinned Bubba, right, or Bully, in that 3D's retirement match.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So Sabin is going to cash in his chance for the heavyweight title this Thursday in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Destination X will be there live. The Main Event Mafia comes out to announce the new member, and that member is
Rampage Jackson.
Now, I don't know.
I'm not crazy about this.
I'm okay with it. I'm not mad.
I mean, there's so many other guys who are more deserving. I mean, if this is supposed to be like wrestling's elite.
What about Styles? You think that would have worked?
Yeah, but, they're pushing him as the Dark Loner character right now. So I didn't see it being Styles, but I mean, we talked about before Bobby Roode, even like bring back Jeff Jarrett. I mean, Rampage Jackson hasn't even wrestled his first wrestling match yet. Yeah, he's a bad man in the octagon.
Yeah,
but
can he work in the wrestling ring?
Yeah, can he work in a wrestling ring? We don't know yet. I would say probably not. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving him a chance. I just.
They must have some kind of faith in him.
I don't think he has any business in this faction. But, we'll see.
We'll see.
Now, I never saw the movie, so correct me. Is he the guy who played B.A. Baracus in the new version of the A-Team?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That was him.
I thought he looked like that guy from the previews, but, yeah.
So... pretty surprising pick for the Main Event Mafia, but overall pretty decent episode of Impact this week.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. And I'm still enjoying the Main Event Mafia. I would have put somebody different in there, but, I'm not the one writing the show.
So next we got Money in the Bank from Philadelphia.
That's right.
All right, live from Philadelphia, Money in the Bank 2013. And I must say, I know we've dogged WWE quite a bit here, but this was actually a top-notch quality improvement of a pay-per-view from WWE.
It was far better than last month's pay-per-view. I mean,
I dare say, and I was at Extreme Rules, but this may have been the best pay-per-view that they put on this year. Not that that's saying they've set the world on fire, but
right.
it's such an improvement. Payback was okay, but this took WWE hopefully at a level they can kind of stay halfway consistent at for the next couple months, especially through SummerSlam.
And as you'll see it as we go down the results here, at least, one match in the show here, they put over a younger talent that you maybe not expected. I kind of expected it, but yeah. Let's see what we got here, Ace.
So the first match is the Money in the Bank for the World Heavyweight Title contract. You got Wade Barrett, Dean Ambrose, Antonio Cesaro, Jack Swagger, Damian Sandow, and Cody Rhodes in Fandango. 7 guys here, and boy, they tore it up, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a good match.
Great showing by all men.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Nice power bomb from Barrett to Fandango from the top of the ladder all the way down. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, it's really too much to describe. You'd have to watch the match.
It's, especially when you have people in a match like that, a ladder match, there's just so much going on that even watching it, there's things you probably missed.
Yeah.
But, high octane, entertaining match.
But everybody was on top of their game.
Yeah.
In this one, Swagger and Cesaro looked good. Rhodes and Sandow
Cody
looked good.
Rhodes and, Sandow.
Rhodes, he's almost at it. He's almost at the briefcase, going towards the top of the ladder, and Sandow,
his own partner, which I kind of saw coming. I figured it was going to come down to those two guys, and one of them was going to screw the other one. I didn't know which one, but it makes sense here, and it's looking now like probably they're going to kind of give Cody a singles babyface push. I would say
they'll have a match at SummerSlam when you say.
I would think so. Cody's going to have to get some sort of revenge somehow.
So Sandow gets the briefcase. And,
Damian Sandow, Money in the Bank. I think that's a great move. I do.
We're off to a good start already.
Yeah.
Next, then we have Curtis Axel versus The Miz Intercontinental Championship match. Not a lot of build-up for this match. Pretty decent match, though. Axel retains cleanly. Heyman was ejected midway through the match, so Axel holds on to the strap. So, still going pretty strong here. Then we get AJ versus Caitlyn for the Divas title, which Black Widow, AJ wins. So, it's kind of like... But we expected not much from this anyway. And then the next match, Chris Jericho versus Ryback. Okay build, nothing to speak of, but... Jericho beats Ryback's ass the whole time, basically, and then Ryback gets a cheap roll-up win for the victory.
Yeah.
I don't...
Kind of odd.
Either make him look like a monster or not at all. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Ryback gets the win there. Okay match.
Finally wins a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, only took him 3 years. The next... Alberto Del Rio versus Dolph Ziggler, and man, oh man, boy, did these two really put on a fine match here.
Yeah, it was a good match.
A lot of near close finishes. We were both out of our seats the whole time, hanging on the edge of our seat. AJ comes in for the distraction and cost Dolph Ziggler the title. Del Rio retains.
Which I would say, that sucks, but there's a reason for it. And I said a week or two ago, he's going to have to ditch AJ to really be full-fledged babyface.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of going to be the catalyst to make that happen.
The next, John Cena versus Mark Henry for the WWE title.
I wish I could say I was surprised, but
Nice showing by Mark Henry. He looked good.
Yeah,
But it's just run. I mean, Cena wins. Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
And I knew Cena was going to win.
With a stupid
I can't believe
submission.
he won by submission. I mean, and it was a half-assed STF. It didn't. He didn't even hardly have it locked in.
Not that it looks believable anyway.
No, but it just. And Henry tapped way too quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it just.
What can we say about Cena that we haven't said already?
Yeah. I mean, let's move on.
So next is we got the main event. So up to this point, we've got a pretty good pay-per-view so far. We're kind of bummed about Ziggler getting screwed and bummed about Cena winning. But next we got the Money in the Bank All-Stars match for the WWE Championship title contract. Rob Van Dam, The Return, versus CM Punk, versus Daniel Bryan, versus Randy Orton, versus Christian, versus Sheamus. Another great ladder match. Maybe not as good as the first one, but still very, very, very good. Rob Van Dam, huge reaction. And he looked on top of his game.
Well, it also had to do with where they were.
Yeah, Philadelphia. Yeah,
he's like a god in Philadelphia to the wrestling fans.
Interesting note here, though. Punk, you think he's going to win it? He's climbing the ladder, and out comes Axel first. Correct? Was it Axel? Then Heyman. Heyman's trying to stop Axel, saying, "That's my guy. That's my guy.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you doing?" Then Heyman, the long-awaited turn, turns on Punk.
Hits him with the ladder.
Twice in the back. And there's another gentleman on the other side of that ladder that's climbing up, and he gets the briefcase. I forgot. What was his name? Who won the Money in the Bank contract for this match?
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton won it. I dropped to my knees and felt the emotion rush through my body in celebration. Randy Orton now has the WWE title contract briefcase.
What a joke.
Oh, man. Best pay-per-view ever. So that's Money in the Bank from Philadelphia.
It should be noted that Punk ended up having to get like 13 staples in his head or something.
RVD did too.
Yeah, RVD got hurt. Christian got hurt.
Sheamus got thrown through that ladder, and his leg was like all swollen up. He couldn't even perform on Raw the next night.
A lot of injuries. It's some dangerous matches.
Yeah.
But
all six guys worked really hard.
Yeah, they did, and also just to mention it, the pre-show, the Shield retained the tag titles against the Usos. But yeah, overall, a much better pay-per-view than the last one. I enjoyed it for the most part, and even though Cena won, I mean...
It was an okay match.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, they gave it their all and put on a good match. I mean, as good as a match between those two could be.
Yeah. The best singles match, though, was Ziggler and Del Rio.
I would say so, yeah.
So that's that pay-per-view. And next we have Raw. Monday Night Raw. All right, we got Raw from Brooklyn, New York. And of all people to kick off the show, it's Brad Maddox. Jesus, here we go again.
I'd still rather listen to him than Vicky, though.
So he says it's going to be a rematch between Ziggler and Del Rio, but it's a non-title match, so a lot of good that
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah. Then he says he wants to be the greatest GM ever. Well, so do I. And then out comes Cena, and the boos are just deafening. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. It's really bad. I mean, and he just like laughing about it, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he knows he's hated. He just doesn't care.
And then Maddox said how he's always admired Cena.
Yeah,
and I want to suck him off. Yeah. So then he's going to let Cena pick his own opponent for SummerSlam for the title, which I don't know about this angle, but so then
but Cena's such a Boy Scout, he's going to pick somebody who can kick his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to pick Heath Slater.
Yeah. Even though that's teased later, but we'll get to that. So Orton comes out, the man, the winner from the Money in the Bank pay-per-view last night. Basically says that he's going to cash it in on Cena. He may not even make it to SummerSlam, and when he does cash it in, Cena's not going to see it coming. Then Fandango comes out and says Orton's going to be catching in on Fandango because Fandango's going to be the champion. So Orton just nails Fandango, and then they brawl for a little while. Then Maddox makes the match between Orton and Fandango. Pretty good match here. Both men looked really, really good. You have to admit that crowd was going nuts for Orton. Like it was deafening the cheers for him. Like it was wild. I really enjoyed it.
Just because the crowd goes nuts for you doesn't make you a better wrestler.
Oh, but I'm still riding off Money in the Bank. So Orton gets the easy RKO because he's a legend killer and he destroys people.
Because it's in the script.
And then we have a recap of Ziggler and Del Rio for Money in the Bank. And AJ is trying to make up with Ziggler. Like, what a dumb bitch. Making up with the guy you just screwed over for the World Heavyweight title. Like, what idiot's going to buy that? Ziggler basically dumps her.
Yeah.
So we kind of saw that coming. Then you got Mark Henry talking about the match for Money in the Bank and how, everybody's chanting, he tapped out, you tapped out, you tapped out.
That was funny.
And then Henry says, shut up. He'll make every last one of y'all tap out.
Yeah, I tapped. And he'd make all y'all tap too.
Yeah, that was funny. I wish it was the other way around. But. So the Shield slowly but surely makes their way down to confront Mark Henry.
Yeah.
And Henry fights them off for a little while, but ultimately the Shield gets the best of him and gives him a devastating, thunderous powerbomb by the three. Do you think Henry's done for a while?
I don't know. It's like,
he was coming out in a suit again. Like, is he going to do the
is
retirement?
Is he going to go through the retirement thing again?
What if he did and Cena fell for it again?
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. But as weird as it seems, because they just, made him. He was a heel already, but they took him to another level of bad guy which
was brilliant. The retirement thing was brilliant.
When he faked a retirement. Yeah. But this segment, it almost seemed like they were trying to turn him babyface.
Yeah.
I don't.
But he works as a heel. He is a good heel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like maybe he's, like you said, maybe he's gonna take a break. Maybe, hell, who knows, man?
Real quick, because we got time. In your opinion, is Mark Henry Hall of Fame worthy?
Absolutely. Yes.
I think so too. I was thinking that last night when I was watching that segment because man, he's come a long way. He's actually damn good on the mic too.
Yeah, and a former world champion.
Former ECW champion.
Yeah. Of course, it was after the ECW didn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
But former world champion, and look how many years he's been with that company.
Wasn't he a European champion as well?
Yes, he was a European champion.
Was he a tag champion ever at any time?
I was,
with D'Lo, wasn't he?
I was sitting here trying to think of that. I don't think so.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe at one point during the Nation of Domination days, but I don't think so. And then he had a tag team there for a while with MVP, and they maybe got close a couple times, but they never held the straps. But no, I think it was just those three. I don't even think he ever held the Intercontinental title.
No.
I think the European, ECW, and World title are on his resume.
Well, that's pretty impressive still.
And like just the amount of time he put in at that company, and I think he absolutely deserves to be there. He deserves to be there more so than some people who are already in.
Yeah. So then next we got Jericho and Maddox backstage. Jericho is, talking about something. I think I was out, taking a piss or something. But makes a match, Maddox does, between RVD and Jericho, which he calls them the old farts.
It was just kind of a joke. But, I was giving them a compliment.
Yeah.
I was saying that they put on a hell of a match for, guys their age, and really any age. There's guys half their age on the roster that probably couldn't put on the match that they did.
Yeah. So next we got Del Rio versus Ziggler in the non-title rematch.
Right.
Another awesome match here. Another really, really, really good match. Del Rio kicks Ziggler in the head because Ziggler is distracted by the bell
ringing
randomly, and it's just AJ in a disguise who rung the bell to distract Ziggler, and Del Rio kicked his head off for the win.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Well, I mean,
they're trying to make Ziggler a babyface.
AJ goes psycho on Ziggler, and then Big E comes in out of nowhere and lays Ziggler out. So not only does it cements him as a babyface.
Yeah.
It gets rid of AJ, and it sets up a feud between him and Big E, possibly. Yeah. So, and the belt wasn't on the line, so didn't really matter if he won or lost there.
You think that's the end of Del Rio and Ziggler feud?
Possibly.
I'd say Ziggler and Big E have a match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately is probably going to take Ziggler out of the title picture for a little while. But we'll see where it goes.
He kind of got screwed though.
I think so. I absolutely think so.
Next we got R-Truth coming out, rapping and carrying on. And is it just me or does his hairline look awful funny last night?
Something going on. I was trying to figure that out too. It's like, does he have something painted across his forehead? I don't know.
Then the Wyatt family makes their entrance and just
smear him,
beats him down. Then Bray Wyatt cuts a promo,
which made no sense whatsoever.
I was gonna say, it was delivered okay, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean
get it.
His delivery was fine. I just couldn't make any sense of anything he said. It was like, it was like the ramblings of a madman, which I think is what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
but
it didn't offer any kind of idea or insight of what they're trying to do or what. I don't know. I was lost.
Yeah.
I mean, he spoke well, but that was that.
Well, and he has a good pedigree. I mean, his father was Mike Rotundo. His uncle is Barry Windham. Mm-hmm. His grandfather's Blackjack Mulligan. So he comes from a wrestling background, and that doesn't always mean you're going to be a good wrestler, but he's been around it since he was born, and
I don't think you can count the Wyatt family out completely yet. We'll see. I don't think enough times that they were shat out on their debut. This was an improvement from that last week, but the jury's still out on them. When you say,
but to me, I don't know. The whole psycho hillbilly thing's just been done over and over and over and over and over again. At least
it's some new faces,
I guess.
But we'll see. Then next we got Swagger and Cesaro, the Real Americans.
Now I wanted to ask you, did you lose audio here?
No. Did you?
I did. Yeah. Right as they were coming out, so I didn't get to hear anything that Zeb Coulter said.
Yeah, he was doing the usual.
I figured, but I lost audio here, and I didn't get it back until just as Sandow and Christian were getting started.
Mm.
So I got to see it, but I didn't have any sound there for a little bit.
Yeah. The Usos got the win against Swagger.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, to be honest.
Yeah. But I'm kind of digging this Cesaro and Swagger faction.
I like this team.
Yeah. So next we got Sandow versus Christian. So Sandow just won the Money in the Bank, but then just drops out to Christian.
Makes no sense.
And then Rhodes attacks Sandow. That made sense.
Yeah, that made perfect sense.
But why wouldn't he screw him instead of having him job out clean and then attack him?
Right. Have Cody come out and cost Sandow the match.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's a big deal, but it's little things that we notice.
Yeah, it's aggravating.
You
it's like, what are you doing? You just put this guy over
on a big pay-per-view
last night, and now you're going to have him job clean to Christian.
Yeah, which not saying
nothing
Christian's
against
a
Christian,
slouch.
But I mean he.
Next. Then here we go. And it's like we're all taking that dive into depravity again.
This is where I wish I had lost audio.
Vicky's backstage with a petition trying to get her job back. Oh God! And people are like trying to grab it to sign it, and she won't let them have the clipboard.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. And then we get Brie Bella versus Naomi of the Funkadactyls. Naomi wins with a crossbody. Not much there. Then we get the clip of Heyman leaving Money in the Bank from the night before after screwing Punk. And then we have this big confrontation verbally of Paul Heyman and CM Punk. What did you think of this?
Now, this is just me personally. I think a lot of these talking segments just go on for way too long. And I like Heyman and I like Punk.
Yeah.
But
you start to lose interest after a while.
Yeah,
this is what, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, way too long. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. Say, hey, I screwed you because of this. All right, I'm going to kick your ass. All right, you don't need to go on for 10, 15 minutes about...
Heyman was talking about all the way back to OVW in 05.
Yeah.
They've already discussed their past.
Which is fine. I think wrestling doesn't acknowledge its history enough.
Yeah.
But, like you said, they've already touched on this. They've already gone through this spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Not so bad it made me want to change the channel or anything, but I thought it was a little bit long-winded.
I did like where Punk say he was coming after him and everybody was involved.
Yeah,
he said, you son of a bitch.
It ended on a high note. Just took it a little bit too long to get there, in my opinion.
Then Heyman imitates CM Punk's it's clobbering time thing.
Yeah.
And out comes the beast, Brock Lesnar. And now Punk actually gets some good shots on Lesnar.
He tried his best.
But Lesnar just beat his ass all over the place. And then F5'd him on the announce table, which, I like Brock Lesnar. I get excited when he comes out. He's believable. He's doesn't act like he's going through the motions. He's a decent in the ring. I don't know if he's once what he was 10 years ago, but, I'm actually interested in this Punk and Lesnar feud here. What about you?
I'm just not a Lesnar fan. I never have been. It's not that he doesn't have any ability, and it's not that I know he's a big marquee name, and he puts asses in seats. It's just, I don't respect Lesnar because I don't feel like he respects the biz. Yeah. That's my main problem with Lesnar.
But do you think he can wrestle, though?
I think he can, especially for a big man. He has a collegiate background. But I've always felt with Lesnar, and he probably wouldn't even deny this, that he's, wrestling to him is just a paycheck, man.
And it was too much too soon in the beginning.
Yeah, probably so. But, I feel like I have more of a passion for wrestling than Brock Lesnar could ever think about having.
Me too.
Just because I'm not a wrestler doesn't mean that he loves it. Like I said, to me, I think he just looks at it as a job.
Yeah.
And, I guess that's all right. That's his prerogative. But that's, like I said, I don't respect him because I don't feel like he respects the business.
But you got to admit, he does work his ass off when he's out there.
But you think? But he's only out there.
Yeah, I guess. Right.
Once every 3-4 months. He's been back for over a year, and he's wrestled what, twice?
4 times.
4 times.
Yeah, but still, it's not very much.
Yeah,
Well, I like the segment,
and he's probably making way more than guys that are out there every night busting their asses, and
I'd say
if it was, a guy like The Undertaker has earned that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, a guy like Lesnar, to me, has not.
Yeah. You got to have at least 7, 8, 9, 10 years of full-time experience, I think, to be able to come back and do this.
Yeah, he shouldn't be allowed to just be a part-timer.
Yeah. He had 2 full-time years.
Right.
When he first started, and that was it. So think about that.
Right.
Mark Henry, honestly and truly, has more of leeway to do something like this than he does. But. So anyway, so that's that. Lesnar destroys CM Punk. And so then we get Khali coming back to Cena backstage and says something I can't even understand what in the hell Khali just said.
But then Cena said something to him like in some foreign language. I have no idea what Cena said either. That was part of the joke.
Yeah.
But
oh, God. Then we have Brad, Maddox, and Stephanie backstage, and Triple H has to come in and get his camera time. And basically, this is just another ego spot.
Well, they're toying with Brad's mind, making him feel like he's on the hot seat already, and
just get off TV, guys.
And Triple H even throws in the dreaded future endeavors line. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's that. Then we get Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho in a very, very entertaining, good match.
Yeah. Now, I don't think it deserved all the "This is awesome" chants. I mean, it wasn't that
compared
good.
to, I guess, what WWE fans see on a daily basis. I mean, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They don't know any better.
Yeah. It was good though.
But yeah, it was good. I mean, don't get me wrong.
And RVD does look better than he did when he left TNA.
He does. He does. I have to admit.
And RVD wins with the frog splash. So hey. Let's have the guy that just debuted that we're really hyping up win a match. How smart would that be? Finally. So next we get the dreaded Cena segment where he picks his opponent for SummerSlam, and you got the whole roster out there on the ramp. And I got really excited because first he hinted at Heath Slater, and Heath Slater's like, "Yeah, me," and I'm like, "Yeah," but it didn't come to pass. So he goes through a few names. He does go through Orton, and like you said,
Orton's name did not get a good reaction.
He still has that briefcase, though. So Bryan picks pretty much who we all had on our minds anyway, and then he picks Daniel Bryan. And Bryan wasn't out there on the ramp at first.
Yeah, but when he said he picks Daniel Bryan, he came busting through that line of people real fast.
What about that crowd?
Oh, man. I've said it a while. I mean, this guy's over like crazy. I mean, honest to God, I mean, with maybe the exception of Punk, a couple years ago when he did that big speech and everything and came back.
He was on that wild ride like that too.
It's been...
Not since Austin The Rock.
Probably, since I've seen a guy over like this.
They're out of control everywhere they go.
And it's so awesome because it's a guy who's so deserving of it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can have all the wrestling talent in the world and you just somehow never make that connection with the fans that you're just over huge like that.
Mm-hmm. Guys like Lance Storm.
Sure,
Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, good example. Very good example.
Yeah.
But Daniel Bryan's like he's got it all, and he has made that connection with the fans, and it's a beautiful thing when it happens because it's so rare that somebody who is so deserving and so talented in the ring,
and somebody who made their name for themselves, not under Vince McMahon.
Right. And some WWE fans who are exclusive to WWE may not realize that Daniel Bryan, as Bryan Danielson, wrestled for years
all over the world,
and in Ring of Honor, and was putting on great matches for years before WWE even thought about him. And he paid his dues, and that he's not some guy who they said, hey, this guy looked good in the gym, they threw him in their developmental program, and 6 months later threw a belt on him. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who's been up and down the roads and paid his dues in the indies, and
one of the last true actual pro wrestlers that did it the old school way.
And in my opinion, pound for pound, probably the best wrestler in the world today.
He is.
Who's better?
The only guy that I would say is even close is Davey Richards.
Richards is damn good. Yeah.
But I'd still say Bryan though. But the thing is, WWE fans don't even realize this guy can do a million times more that they even let him do. So just take what he's done, times that by a million, and he can do all that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
In Ring of Honor, we've seen him do stuff destroys even the best stuff he does in WWE. That's how good this guy is. But we're really excited about that. Does he beat Cena at SummerSlam for the title?
No.
You don't think so? Well, I guess time will tell.
Unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. Believe me, I hope I'm wrong. And I will be watching it with my fingers crossed, praying that Daniel Bryan takes it. It's just, just going by WWE and their history with Cena, I think Cena's going to hold the belt for damn near a year.
God.
I really, because he has to get a good long reign in because he hasn't had a reign for a while, and he has to catch back up with CM Punk, who is the longest reigning champion of the modern era, which to me is kind of silly. I mean, the modern era is just the last 25 years. I mean, so Hulk Hogan's not the modern era. That seems kind of silly to me. But anyhow,
pretty.
I'm not saying
decent Raw.
I'm not saying it's impossible. It's almost 50-50 really. Now, the last several pay-per-views, I mean, there's never a doubt in my mind that Cena was going to beat Henry. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. There was never a doubt in my mind Cena was going to beat Ryback.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. I knew.
And The Rock. And
yeah, there was no doubt. But there is that slight shadow of doubt with Daniel Bryan because he is so over. It's one of those situations kind of like a little bit when they put the belt on RVD. The fans are going to get to. You're going to have no choice because if you don't, they're going to just storm the ring and rip Cena to shreds.
Yeah. All right. If Cena wins, does Orton cash it in right then and there? Do you think Bryan takes him to the limit? Cena somehow does the Superman and wins. Do you think Orton cashes it in right there?
I wouldn't be surprised if Orton cashes in either way it goes. Even if Bryan wins, I wouldn't be surprised. And what would be really, really cool, I think, is if Bryan beats Cena, Orton cashes in immediately, and Bryan beats Orton. That would be
come on now,
ultimate.
That's
why not?
No.
If Orton really wants to put a guy over,
if he did that, you can never talk smack about him again.
I will, but
at least you got to give him a month off. For that. Come on now, if he did that, you'd have to give him a rest for a few weeks.
I gave him props when
but something like this though, my God. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I know that's a pipe dream, but wouldn't it be cool?
I mean, not really.
Not for an Orton mark like you.
I got a Punk shirt on. But anyway, that's Raw. Decent Raw. Anything's better than the garbage the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And because we covered the pay-per-view, I decided to skip the Week in Wrestling History segment this week. So we had a little more time to discuss Raw and the pay-per-view and everything. But it will be back with a vengeance next week. But that's pretty much our show. And don't forget, we've got the email address set up. It's tpwshow@gmx.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you think about the show. We'd love to hear from you guys. Once again, don't forget Ring of Honor, November 2nd in Cincinnati. Get your tickets this Friday. And I don't think that Impact for Thursday has sold out yet. There's still time to catch that show if you're in the Louisville area.
Look for us live on
TV. Yeah, we'd love to see you there. But that's our show for this week. And signing off for my partner, Mr. Ace Larson, I'm Electric Eric Davidson, and we will see you next time.